Most people think getting rich is about luck, about being in the right place at the right time. But the truth is, luck doesn't decide your future. Every day, you make choices that either move you closer to financial freedom or keep you stuck. If you want to build real wealth, you have to stop waiting for something to happen and start taking control of what you can control. In this video, you'll learn how to build habits that actually create money over time, how to manage your decisions so emotions don't ruin your progress, and why consistency beats chasing excitement every single time. You'll see how small actions repeated daily add up to results that most people never reach because they quit too early. You'll also discover how to think strategically, make smarter financial moves, and trust yourself even when success seems invisible. This isn't theory. This is about changing how you act, how you think, and how you handle money every single day. If you follow what's in this video, you'll learn to get rich without depending on luck. Your future won't wait. It will be built by what you do today. Chapter 1. Decide to stop depending on luck forever. Life does not hand out rewards randomly. Waiting for luck to arrive is waiting for something you cannot control. Most people spend their lives hoping for a break, wishing for opportunity, or believing that success is a matter of chance. That thinking keeps them trapped. It keeps them small. It allows external circumstances to dictate their future. To create real wealth, real stability, real success, the first step is to decide that you will no longer depend on luck. That decision is the moment control returns to you. It is quiet, but it is powerful. Depending on luck means that every success feels uncertain and every failure feels crushing. When people rely on luck, they invest energy into things they cannot influence. They wait for someone else to notice them, for someone else to approve, or for random events to align perfectly. That mindset creates anxiety, fear, and indecision. Days slip away while waiting for something that may never arrive. Bills still come. Responsibilities still grow. Time continues to pass. Meanwhile, hope alone does not feed your family or pay your debts. Hope alone does not build skills or create income. Deciding to stop depending on luck is not a simple thought. It is a commitment to responsibility. It is a recognition that you are the driver of your life. You are the one who must act, decide, and follow through. When you embrace this mindset, every choice, every action, every decision becomes meaningful. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You stop hoping for miracles. You become a person who produces results through effort, planning, and consistency. That shift alone transforms how you approach work, learning, relationships, and money. Most people fail to recognize how much their dependence on luck controls their life. They blame luck when things go wrong, and praise luck when things go well. That thinking removes personal responsibility. It creates a roller coaster of emotions, a constant cycle of highs and lows, dictated by chance. True control comes when you accept that results are determined by your actions, your habits, your choices, and your perseverance. Luck may appear occasionally, but you do not rely on it. You do not wait for it. You plan, you prepare, and you act whether luck shows up or not. When you remove luck from the equation, you stop being a passenger in your life. You become the driver. You begin to understand that effort, consistency, and skill are reliable. That understanding builds confidence. You stop fearing uncertainty because you know you can handle challenges. You start developing habits that work regardless of circumstances. You focus on learning, practicing, and improving. You focus on creating value that can be exchanged for money, respect, and opportunities. You focus on building systems that support progress. Those who depend on luck spend time hoping. Those who choose responsibility spend time creating. One approach builds control, the other builds frustration. The first step in removing luck from your life is honesty with yourself. Look at your actions, look at your decisions. Examine where you have relied on chance in the past. Notice the moments when you waited instead of acting, when you hoped instead of producing, when you blamed instead of solving. Recognize these moments, not to shame yourself, but to gain awareness. Awareness is the beginning of change. Once you see how you have allowed luck to influence your life, you can choose a different approach. You can decide that from this moment forward, your future is in your hand. After awareness comes planning. Wealth does not grow by accident. It grows through deliberate action. Decide what skills you need. Decide how you will spend your time. Decide how you will manage your money. Decide how you will invest in yourself. Every choice should be intentional. Each day should contain steps that move you closer to stability, independence, and growth. Luck does not dictate this path. You do. Consistency becomes critical when you stop depending on luck. Small repeated actions produce larger results than sporadic bursts of effort. Saving a little money each month, learning a skill daily, building a network steadily, and showing up consistently at work or in business produces results that accumulate over time. This approach does not require luck. It requires patience, discipline, and focus. People who rely on luck often try to find shortcuts, but shortcuts rarely produce lasting results. Steady effort is what creates security and wealth. Another critical aspect of rejecting luck is self-reliance. Relying on luck often masks fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of effort. When you depend on yourself, fear loses its control. You understand that results will be the product of your actions. You can fail, learn, adjust, and try again. Luck cannot teach you lessons. Experience does. Effort teaches. Reflection teaches. Persistence teaches. By becoming the source of your results, you turn fear into action and uncertainty into opportunity. Deciding to stop depending on luck also changes how you respond to setbacks. When failure occurs, you do not say that luck was against you. You do not wait for a miracle to fix things. Instead, you analyze what went wrong, identify the variables you can control, and adjust your strategy. This mindset reduces frustration and increases resilience. You grow stronger through challenges instead of feeling powerless. Luck does not build resilience. Discipline and personal responsibility do. Your environment will also influence how easy it is to depend on yourself rather than luck. Surround yourself with people who act with responsibility. Avoid relying on those who constantly blame circumstances or hope for quick wins. Choose mentors, peers, and partners who value effort, preparation, and results. Influence matters because human behavior is contagious. The mindset of the people around you can either reinforce your commitment to self-reliance or undermine it. Choose carefully. Build systems that reinforce your ability to produce results consistently. Financial behavior is a clear example of rejecting luck. People who rely on luck often gamble with money, chase trends, or hope for sudden windfall. People who depend on themselves save, invest wisely, and build skills that produce income reliably. Wealth is a product of knowledge, action, and consistency. Luck may occasionally provide a momentary advantage, but a life built on luck alone is unstable and stressful. You want control, not chaos. You want sustainable income, not hope for a lucky break. Skill development is another area where luck is irrelevant. When you learn valuable skills, practice them consistently, and refine them over time, you create opportunities that are predictable. Skill attracts value. Value earns money. The more useful and rare your skills, the more independent you are of chance. Those who rely on luck hope for opportunities. Those who create value make opportunities appear. Every day spent improving yourself is a day investing in control. Time management becomes vital. If you wait for luck, you waste time expecting things to happen. If you take responsibility, every hour becomes an asset. You plan, act, and review. You prioritize what creates progress instead of what entertains or distracts. You guard your energy carefully. Luck does not protect your time. You must. Your mindset shifts when you stop depending on luck. You stop asking why things happen to you. You start asking what you can do. You stop envying others and start creating your own path. You stop fearing uncertainty and start managing what you can control. That mindset alone improves confidence, decisions, and results. Every decision is intentional. Every action has purpose. Every day builds evidence that you are capable. This choice is not easy. It requires courage. It requires patience. It requires persistence. Many people resist it because hope feels comfortable, even if it is unreliable. Action feels risky, even if it is reliable. But those who embrace responsibility discover freedom, self-confidence, and steady growth. They discover that they do not need luck because they have built a life that works regardless. Deciding to stop depending on luck is also deeply empowering emotionally. It removes helplessness, reduces stress, and builds trust in yourself. You stop blaming and start solving. You stop waiting and start producing. You stop fearing and start growing. That emotional shift is as valuable as financial stability or skill acquisition. Inner security reinforces outer progress. As you commit to this mindset, practice reflection. Review your choices and actions. Celebrate the evidence of reliability, skill, and persistence. Each small success is proof that you are in control. Each mistake is proof that you can adjust and continue. You no longer need luck because you have experience and judgment. These are far stronger than chance. By deciding today that you will stop depending on luck forever, you take ownership of your life. You reclaim your time, energy, and focus. You build habits, skills, and systems that produce consistent results. You develop resilience, patience, and self-trust. You stop hoping for random opportunities and start creating them. Every day becomes a step toward security, growth, and freedom. This is how wealth is built. Not by waiting, not by wishing, not by hoping. It is built by deciding to act, by learning, by doing, and by staying consistent. Luck may visit occasionally, but your life is no longer dictated by it. You produce results, manage setbacks, and create value intentionally. You choose responsibility over chance, action over waiting, and effort over hope. That decision changes everything. It transforms ordinary days into steps of progress. It transforms doubt into confidence. It transforms reliance on luck into a life built on skill, discipline, and persistence. Take this decision seriously. Commit to removing luck from the center of your life. Build systems, habits, and routines that generate predictable results. Improve yourself consistently. Face challenges and adjust when mistakes occur. This is not a theory. It is a practice. It is a mindset. It is a way of life. By embracing it fully, you step into true control, true freedom, and true success. A life no longer dictated by luck is a life you can trust, a life you can grow, and a life you can be proud of every single day.
Chapter 2. Train your mind to delay pleasure daily. Every day presents countless opportunities to choose comfort over effort. The human mind is wired to seek what feels good immediately, and that instinct is strong. It is the voice that says rest before work, scrolling before reading, spending before saving, eating before preparing. It whispers that immediate satisfaction is necessary and valuable. Most people obey it without question, and that obedience slowly steals their potential. The truth is, real progress, lasting wealth, and genuine self-respect are built through delaying pleasure. The ability to say no now in order to gain much greater rewards later is not easy, but it is powerful. Training the mind to delay pleasure is a practice. It begins with awareness. Notice the small impulses that arise throughout your day. Every time you feel the urge to do something for instant comfort, recognize it. Observe your body's reactions. The sudden relaxation you crave, the tension that disappears when you allow yourself a quick indulgence, the racing thoughts that push you toward distraction. These physical and emotional signals are indicators that your mind is being guided by instant gratification rather than long-term benefit. Understanding them is the first step in taking control. The next step is choice. You must consciously decide to act differently than your impulses suggest. For example, when fatigue tempts you to skip a task, push through it intentionally. When boredom encourages mindless scrolling, choose to engage in learning or productivity instead. These small decisions are training moments. Each time you override an immediate desire, your self-control grows stronger. Your brain begins to recognize that effort comes before reward and that you are capable of managing discomfort. This is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with repetition. Delaying pleasure also reshapes emotional resilience. Comfort often acts as a temporary escape from stress, frustration, or discomfort. By resisting that escape, you train your mind to sit with challenges rather than flee from them. You learn to tolerate discomfort without panic. You learn to process frustration without distraction. Over time, this creates a mental toughness that is invaluable. When difficult situations arise in work, relationships, or personal goals, you face them with calm determination instead of avoidance. That calm determination becomes a habit. Another critical aspect is perspective. Immediate pleasures often feel rewarding because they provide instant feedback. A snack, a purchase, a diversion, they create a fleeting sense of satisfaction. However, these rewards are shallow. The gratification gained from completing meaningful work, improving a skill, saving money, or building discipline is delayed but far greater. Training your mind to delay pleasure shifts your focus from temporary thrills to enduring fulfillment. It teaches patience and allows you to evaluate the true value of your choices. Over time, the satisfaction of achievement begins to outweigh the pull of immediate comfort. Practical steps are essential. Start with small, manageable decisions. Delay a coffee break until work is done. Complete a task before checking social media. Save a small portion of income rather than spending it immediately. Each small choice compounds, reinforcing the ability to resist instant gratification. These are not dramatic feats. They may even feel boring, but they are foundational. Small repeated actions build a mental framework that supports larger challenges. Mastery over minor impulses lays the groundwork for mastery over major life decisions. Consistency is another key principle. Self-control is not a one-time effort. It is a daily practice that requires repetition. Some days will be easy, others will be difficult. Some days, urges will feel stronger. On every day, every moment, you have an opportunity to strengthen your mind by choosing delayed gratification. Habits are built through consistency, not through occasional heroic acts. The repeated choice to prioritize long-term gain over short-term satisfaction gradually rewires the brain. Patience becomes a default response instead of an exception. Reflection enhances this training. At the end of each day, consider the moments when you acted on impulse and when you successfully delayed pleasure. Examine what triggered the urge and how it felt physically and emotionally. Ask yourself how the outcome would differ if you had acted differently. Over time, this reflection deepens self-awareness and increases control over future behavior. You begin to anticipate moments of temptation and plan responses in advance, which strengthens your capacity to stay disciplined even under pressure. Self-talk is an important tool. The mind often justifies immediate indulgence with persuasive arguments. You've earned this, it won't matter, you deserve a break. Recognizing these rationalizations and countering them with deliberate statements reinforces self-control. Say to yourself, I will complete this task first. I am stronger than my impulses, or delayed reward will be more valuable. Internal dialogue shapes behavior more than external circumstance. Using self-talk effectively helps the mind embrace discipline without creating unnecessary struggle. Environmental awareness supports this practice. Surroundings can either weaken or strengthen self-control. If distractions are constantly present, resisting impulses becomes more difficult. If temptations are removed or minimized, the mind is free to focus on meaningful effort. This applies to physical environments, digital spaces, and social interactions. Design spaces and routines that encourage delayed gratification. Keep tools for work accessible. Remove triggers that invite distraction. Seek companions who reinforce persistence and patience, rather than immediate indulgence. Delayed gratification is not merely a matter of self-denial. It is a matter of strategic living. By learning to prioritize what truly matters over what feels immediately rewarding, you gain leverage over your time, energy, and potential. This habit directly impacts wealth, health, learning, and personal growth. People who consistently delay pleasure develop better financial habits, stronger professional skills, and deeper relationships. They plan, invest, and act strategically instead of reacting to fleeting impulses. Challenges will arise. Moments of temptation will feel overwhelming. Your body may demand comfort, and your mind may protest. These are not failures. They are opportunities to train the mind further. Facing discomfort intentionally strengthens neural pathways associated with patience, resilience, and deliberate action. Over time, the mind learns that discomfort is temporary and manageable. The emotional intensity of urges diminishes. You become capable of handling more significant challenges with calm and focus. Delaying pleasure also cultivates gratitude. When immediate rewards are resisted and delayed, the eventual reward is experienced with full awareness and appreciation. The mind has learned the value of effort. Satisfaction is no longer shallow or fleeting. It becomes deep and meaningful. Gratitude enhances motivation and reinforces the positive cycle of discipline. You not only achieve more, but also enjoy your achievements fully because they are earned. It is essential to understand that the mind adapts gradually. Expect gradual improvement rather than instant mastery. Early attempts to delay pleasure may feel uncomfortable or even frustrating. That discomfort is natural. Each act of restraint, however small, adds to a reservoir of strength. Each moment of conscious choice over impulse trains the brain to value effort over ease. Over months and years, these choices accumulate, producing significant life changes. A life of consistent effort and delayed gratification leads to stability, capability, and self-trust. Integration into daily routines solidifies results. Structure your day to include deliberate practice of delayed pleasure. Assign specific times for work, learning, exercise, and reflection. Use breaks and rewards intentionally after meaningful effort, rather than as spontaneous indulgence. Over time, the body and mind adapt to this rhythm, making delayed gratification a natural part of life rather than a forced struggle. Emotional control is enhanced through this practice. Immediate pleasure often serves as a response to stress, frustration, or boredom. By resisting the pull, you learn to sit with emotions without being controlled by them. You develop patience, resilience, and composure. Life becomes less reactive and more intentional. You respond to challenges with clarity instead of distraction. Delayed gratification strengthens decision-making. Each choice to wait and prioritize long-term benefit reinforces the ability to make rational, strategic decisions. Impulse-driven decisions are replaced with thoughtful action. Over time, the mind becomes skilled at evaluating options based on real value rather than immediate pleasure. This ability directly affects career, finances, relationships, and personal growth. Every time you delay pleasure, you reinforce self-discipline. Self-discipline is the foundation of achievement. It is more important than talent or intelligence because it ensures that potential is realized. Without discipline, opportunities are wasted, progress is inconsistent, and skills remain underdeveloped. Daily practice of delayed gratification shapes character and prepares the mind to handle the demands of life and work effectively. The practice also impacts relationships. People who delay pleasure develop patience, empathy, and reliability. They are capable of handling challenges without seeking immediate escape or relief. Others trust them because they are consistent and measured. Emotional and social intelligence grow alongside self-control, reinforcing personal and professional networks that support long-term success. Physical well-being benefits as well. Resisting immediate indulgence in food, rest, or other comforts encourages healthier routines. Nutrition, exercise, and sleep are prioritized strategically rather than reactively. The mind-body connection strengthens as you learn to respect long-term needs over short-term desires. Energy levels rise, focus improves, and resilience to stress increases. Delayed gratification also reinforces goal achievement. Long-term goals require consistent effort over time. Each day of choosing work over ease, saving over spending, learning over distraction, compounds into measurable results. The mind recognizes the link between effort and outcome, strengthening motivation and reinforcing purposeful behavior. Goals become attainable because action aligns with intention consistently. Over time, the habit of delaying pleasure transforms identity. You see yourself as someone capable of self-control, someone who acts intentionally, someone who builds results rather than waits for them. Self-perception changes, confidence grows, the mind believes in its own reliability, and that belief drives further progress. Finally, delayed gratification produces freedom. Freedom from impulsive spending, freedom from distraction, freedom from reactive emotional responses. By training your mind to wait, to choose wisely, and to value effort over immediate reward, you create a life where results are predictable and controllable. This is the essence of personal power. It is the skill that separates those who achieve sustained success from those who chase fleeting pleasure. Each day is an opportunity to practice. Every small moment matters. Each resisted impulse strengthens your mind, your habits, and your future. Over months and years, the consistent practice of delaying pleasure builds resilience, discipline, and wealth in every area of life. Immediate comfort loses power. Strategic effort gains control. Patience becomes strength, and life begins to unfold according to your choices rather than your impulses. This is how extraordinary results are created, quietly, steadily, and powerfully, every single day.
Chapter 3. Build self-trust through small kept promises. Self-trust is the invisible foundation upon which every success is built. Without it, motivation wavers, decisions feel uncertain, and even the simplest tasks become weighted with doubt. Most people look for confidence outside themselves. They wait for approval, for recognition, or for external proof that they are capable. But real trust begins within. It grows quietly when you consistently do what you say you will do. When you honor commitments to yourself, even the smallest ones, you teach your mind that you are reliable, capable, and worthy of confidence.
This is not a theoretical idea, it is a practical daily practice that reshapes your mindset and your life. Every human makes promises to themselves: wake up early, exercise, complete work tasks, finish a project, read a book, save money. These commitments may seem small, insignificant, or private. No one else notices if they are broken. That is precisely why they matter. The mind records every success and failure in following through. Repeatedly breaking small promises trains your mind to doubt your abilities. Repeatedly keeping small promises builds self-trust and inner confidence. Start with simple actions. Pick a few small promises that are realistic and measurable. Follow through on them consistently. Do not overwhelm yourself with impossible goals. The goal is not perfection, it is evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. This practice produces results quietly but powerfully. Over time, these repeated confirmations create a deep-seated belief in your own capability. The psychology behind this is straightforward. The human brain responds to feedback. Success reinforces belief. Failure erodes it. When you make a promise and keep it, your mind takes note. You feel a subtle surge of competence and reliability. This internal validation does not depend on others. It comes from within. It builds resilience, focus, and determination. The more consistently you follow through, the stronger that internal foundation becomes. Self-trust influences every area of life. Career decisions, relationships, health habits, financial choices, and personal growth are all affected by how much you believe in yourself. Someone with strong self-trust acts decisively. They make commitments and follow them. They face challenges without hesitation because they know they can handle consequences. Conversely, a person who doubts themselves hesitates, procrastinates, or avoids responsibility. The difference is not external, it is the trust cultivated internally through consistent action. Daily routine matters. Small kept promises are woven into ordinary life. Drink water regularly. Complete work on schedule. Write down thoughts or tasks and follow through. Every act of reliability reinforces your self-image. Even when external praise is absent, internal reinforcement strengthens your mindset. Over time, this produces a quiet confidence that no circumstance can shake. Mistakes will happen, and promises will occasionally be broken. Self-trust does not mean perfection. It means accountability. When you fail to follow through, acknowledge it, analyze why it happened, and adjust. Repairing broken promises quickly and thoughtfully is a critical part of the practice. It shows your mind that reliability is intentional, not dependent on circumstance. Learning from errors strengthens self-trust more than avoiding failure entirely. Awareness is key. Pay attention to how you feel when you succeed in keeping a promise and when you fail. Note the subtle shifts in confidence, energy, and focus. Over time, you develop a keen understanding of your own reliability patterns. You can predict moments when your discipline may falter and prepare strategies to maintain consistency. Self-trust is built through deliberate observation, reflection, and action. Small promises create compounding effects. A person who commits to reading a few pages daily or saving a small amount of money starts a chain of reinforcement. Each day adds to confidence. Each week strengthens habits. Each month builds a stronger foundation for larger goals. Consistency transforms minor actions into significant results. The process is gradual, almost invisible, but remarkably effective. Self-trust also affects decision-making. When you rely on your own word, you make choices confidently. You are less swayed by external opinion, hype, or fear. You act decisively because you trust your ability to follow through. This trust reduces procrastination, hesitation, and anxiety. Decisions are not driven by doubt or insecurity, but by a reliable internal compass. Trusting yourself also strengthens emotional resilience. Life presents challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties. When you have built a record of keeping promises, you know that you are capable of handling difficulties. Confidence is no longer dependent on external validation. You approach problems with a mindset of competence. Challenges become opportunities to demonstrate reliability rather than threats to self-esteem. The habit of small promises enhances focus. When the mind is trained to honor commitments, distractions lose power. You learn to prioritize what matters, act consistently, and finish what you start. This focus improves productivity, relationships, and personal growth. By practicing reliability in small matters, you prepare yourself to maintain consistency in larger, more critical areas of life. Self-talk plays an important role in building self-trust. The internal dialogue that accompanies promises can strengthen or weaken belief. Encourage yourself with statements that reinforce capability and accountability. Replace hesitation with affirmation. Every time you honor a promise, mentally acknowledge the achievement. Positive reinforcement solidifies the habit and deepens trust. Another element is environmental support. Surround yourself with reminders of accountability. Organize your tasks, track progress, and use systems that reinforce follow-through. Minimize distractions and influences that encourage inconsistency. Self-trust is nurtured not only through internal effort, but also by structuring your surroundings to support reliable behavior. Over time, self-trust reshapes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who honors commitment. This identity becomes a core part of your character. Confidence flows naturally from the knowledge that you can handle responsibilities. Self-doubt diminishes because your actions continually provide proof of reliability. You act from certainty rather than insecurity. Building self-trust also strengthens perseverance. Life will test your resolve, and external pressures may challenge your consistency. When your internal foundation is strong, temporary setbacks do not derail your progress. You continue to act according to your commitments because you trust your ability to recover, adjust, and move forward. Resilience and consistency become automatic responses rather than conscious struggles. Accountability enhances the process. Sharing goals and progress with a trusted person can accelerate growth. External feedback highlights blind spots and provides additional motivation. However, self-trust remains the primary driver. The external perspective supplements but does not replace the internal habit of keeping promises. True reliability comes from internal consistency rather than external approval. Self-trust affects long-term planning. People who honor small commitments develop confidence in setting and achieving larger goals. Each small promise kept acts as evidence that bigger challenges can be handled. Large goals are broken down into manageable actions, each reinforcing reliability. Gradual success becomes predictable because it is built upon consistent action rather than hope or chance. Reflection strengthens understanding of self-trust. Reviewing promises kept, analyzing motivations, and observing patterns in behavior develops insight. You notice when external pressures or internal weaknesses threaten consistency. You can implement strategies to maintain reliability. The process of reflection and adjustment builds sophistication in self-management. Ultimately, self-trust is about ownership of your life. When you keep promises to yourself, you affirm control over your actions, choices, and progress. You no longer wait for external validation or luck to succeed. Every completed promise demonstrates capability. Every broken promise, when repaired thoughtfully, reinforces resilience. The process transforms confidence from a fragile emotion into a stable, internal force. This practice is continuous. There is no finish line. Each day presents opportunities to strengthen self-trust through small commitments. Every completed task, every intentional action, Every promise honored adds to your reliability bank account. Over time, the compounding effect of these actions produces not only confidence, but also competence, resilience, and the ability to tackle greater challenges. Self-trust becomes the lens through which life is navigated. You approach tasks, challenges, and decisions with calm assurance. You are less likely to be swayed by fear, uncertainty, or external pressure. You understand that effort and consistency are the real predictors of success. Each choice reinforces your capacity to follow through. Every action validates your belief in yourself. The transformation is profound. People who build self-trust through small promises report increased clarity, focus, and purpose. They make decisions without hesitation. They pursue goals with determination. They recover from setbacks quickly. They experience a sense of reliability and stability that extends to all areas of life. Trust in self becomes a central pillar of identity and performance. Start with one small promise today and follow it through. Repeat tomorrow. Continue consistently. Build gradually. Observe honestly, and refine thoughtfully. Each step compounds into lasting confidence. Each completed promise strengthens self-trust. Each day adds to the foundation of a reliable, capable, and empowered life. This is how self-trust is built, not through grand gestures or dramatic breakthroughs, but through steady, intentional, and consistent action. Every kept promise reinforces the knowledge that you are capable, dependable, and strong. Through this daily practice, confidence transforms from hope into certainty. Competence becomes observable. Resilience becomes habitual. Life begins to unfold with clarity, stability, and control, because the trust in yourself is unshakable.
Chapter 4. Choose boring, consistent actions over exciting shortcuts. Success is rarely glamorous. It is not built through sudden inspiration or quick wins. Most people chase excitement, searching for shortcuts that promise instant results. They want the thrill of rapid achievement without the effort required to sustain it. Unfortunately, these shortcuts rarely deliver lasting results. The real foundation of progress is consistency. It is the boring, repeated actions taken daily, week after week, that compound into meaningful outcomes. Choosing steady, predictable effort over excitement is not easy because the mind craves stimulation, novelty, and instant gratification. However, mastering this choice is what separates those who achieve real success from those who remain stuck chasing fleeting thrills. Consistency requires discipline. It demands showing up even when the task is dull, repetitive, or seemingly insignificant. Many people start with energy and enthusiasm, but abandon routines when interest fades. They are attracted to the excitement of new ideas, the allure of fast results, or the latest trends. This approach produces bursts of energy but little progress. Boring, steady actions, on the other hand, create structure. They reinforce competence. They establish reliability. Every repeated effort reinforces the system you are building. Over time, these small, disciplined actions produce results far more significant than any shortcut could. It is critical to understand why shortcuts are tempting. The human mind is wired for instant reward. Novelty stimulates excitement and creates dopamine responses that feel pleasurable. Shortcuts appear attractive because they promise immediate gains without sustained effort. However, the reality is that shortcuts are often unpredictable. They offer temporary success, but lack stability. They may result in initial gains, but rarely produce durable skill, habit, or competence. In contrast, boring, consistent actions build real capability and resilience. They may feel unexciting, but they produce results that last. A practical example is financial growth. Many people seek quick money through risky investments, trends, or speculative ventures. These methods may succeed once or twice, but they are unreliable and stressful.
Individuals who focus on consistent saving, investing steadily, and improving skills systematically create wealth that compounds over time. Small, repeated actions, like saving a fixed percentage, researching investments, or developing marketable skills consistently outperform risky shortcuts. The results are slower at first, but they are stable and sustainable. Consistency also strengthens confidence. When you act daily and see progress, even incremental, you trust your ability to achieve goals. This trust is built quietly, without fanfare. Every small step confirms competence and reliability. Shortcuts, by contrast, provide temporary confidence, but can leave a person unprepared when challenges arise. Real confidence grows from the evidence accumulated through repeated disciplined action. Habits form the backbone of boring, consistent action. Small daily routines shape outcomes more than dramatic efforts. For example, studying a little every day builds mastery far more effectively than cramming once. Writing a small section daily produces a finished book over time. Exercising a few minutes consistently produces long-term fitness. The mind and body respond to repetition. Skills, stamina, and understanding deepen when effort is regular, intentional, and incremental. Habits create momentum that compounds silently. Consistency reduces stress. Excitement-driven shortcuts often create pressure, unpredictability, and the fear of failure. The outcomes depend on factors beyond control, creating anxiety. Boring, consistent actions, however, are predictable. They provide a clear path. You know what to do, when to do it, and how it contributes to your long-term goals. This structure reduces uncertainty and creates confidence. Predictable effort produces steady progress, which allows the mind to remain calm, focused, and resilient under pressure. Discipline in action is strengthened by measurement. Track progress in a simple, clear way. Record what you do each day and review your results weekly or monthly. Measurement creates accountability and motivation. It turns repetitive effort into visible progress. When outcomes appear gradually, the mind rewards consistent action with evidence that effort produces results. Shortcuts rarely allow this clarity. They are sporadic and often misleading. Boring effort provides undeniable proof that persistence wins. Focus is essential. Choosing consistent actions means prioritizing long-term impact over immediate excitement. Avoid distraction by novelty, trends, or shortcuts that promise more than they deliver. Stay committed to your process. Protect your daily routine. When external factors tempt you to chase excitement, remember that long-term success is built quietly. One step at a time. Patience amplifies results. Emotional control improves through boring, consistent work. Citing shortcuts often create roller coasters of emotion. The thrill of initial success, followed by anxiety, disappointment, or collapse. Repetition creates calm. Daily effort becomes predictable. The mind learns to handle work without relying on external stimuli for motivation. Emotional stability allows better decision-making, clearer judgment, and more effective problem-solving. Boring, consistent actions strengthen mental resilience. Delayed gratification is another benefit. Consistent work requires patience. Rewards may not appear immediately. However, when they come, they are far more substantial because they are built on real, sustained effort. Shortcuts offer instant gratification, but rarely deliver depth or durability. Choosing long-term results over immediate excitement creates habits that produce wealth, skill, and competence over time. Consistency improves skill development. Every repeated action reinforces ability. Practice becomes precision. Knowledge accumulates. Each effort builds expertise. Shortcuts, by contrast, often avoid necessary practice and reduce skill retention. Excitement may create temporary results, but expertise comes from repeated, focused effort. Skill becomes reliable when effort is structured, incremental, and sustained. Reflection amplifies learning. When consistent actions are tracked and reviewed, patterns emerge, strengths are reinforced, weaknesses are identified, strategies can be adjusted. This iterative process ensures that effort produces meaningful growth. Shortcuts often lack this feedback loop. Results appear irregular and unreliable. The boring, consistent approach builds mastery through careful observation, adjustment, and repetition. Consistency also cultivates reputation and trust. Others notice reliability more than flashes of brilliance. Delivering results steadily earns respect in relationships, work, and business. Shortcuts can impress briefly but rarely build lasting credibility. Dependable action fosters networks, opportunities, and long-term alliances. Stability and consistency attract confidence from others, creating a virtuous cycle of trust and collaboration. Planning enhances the impact of consistent action. Break larger goals into manageable, repeatable steps. Focus on what can be done every day. Avoid overcomplicating. Simplicity and repetition produce results. Exciting shortcuts often skip foundational work, leaving gaps that cause failure. Small steps ensure that every effort contributes to the larger goal. Each day becomes a building block. Mental toughness is strengthened by choosing repetition over excitement. When work is dull or tedious, the mind wants to quit. Persisting despite boredom trains resilience. Challenges become manageable. Discomfort becomes temporary. The mind learns that effort is rewarding in itself and results follow. Shortcuts avoid this training, leaving individuals fragile when faced with difficulties. Consistency builds momentum. Repeated actions create a flow that supports future effort. Progress compounds. Each completed task makes the next easier. Shortcuts provide bursts, but rarely create momentum. Sustainable success comes from the slow accumulation of effort, not dramatic, unpredictable spikes. Momentum produces confidence, energy, and visible results over time. Self-discipline grows naturally. The more you practice boring, consistent actions, the less you rely on external motivation. Discipline becomes habitual. Work no longer feels like a choice. Following the process becomes automatic. Results become predictable. Shortcuts depend on luck, chance, or external excitement. Long-term achievement depends on internal control, patience, and steady work. Reward structures reinforce behavior. Use milestones and small celebrations to acknowledge consistent work. This creates positive feedback without relying on external validation. Over time, the habit of steady effort produces intrinsic satisfaction. Shortcuts rarely provide this kind of meaningful reinforcement. The mind begins to associate persistence with achievement, creating internal motivation that is self-sustaining. Consistency reduces risk. Steady, deliberate actions expose problems early and allow adjustments. Shortcuts often hide flaws until they become catastrophic. Reliability in effort prevents unexpected failures. Repetition builds confidence because outcomes become predictable. The consistent approach allows calculated risk-taking rather than gambling on chance or excitement. Over months and years, boring, consistent actions accumulate into extraordinary results. Small, repetitive efforts in work, learning, health, and finance compound into mastery, stability, and wealth. Exciting shortcuts may promise similar outcomes, but rarely deliver them reliably. The path of consistency may feel dull moment to moment, but its long-term impact is unmatched. Commitment to daily effort transforms identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who acts reliably, works patiently, and achieves steadily. Confidence grows. Competence becomes observable. Self-trust increases. The mind internalizes the pattern of success through action, rather than hope or luck. Excitement fades, but results endure. Start today by identifying key actions that will produce long-term results. Focus on repetition. Remove distractions. Commit to doing them, even when the work feels boring or uninteresting. Measure progress, reflect, adjust, repeat. Each day strengthens skill, discipline, and reliability. Over time, the compounding effect produces results far greater than any shortcut could provide. Success belongs to those who act patiently, repeatedly, and reliably. Choosing consistent actions over exciting shortcuts is not glamorous. It is not thrilling. It is not immediately rewarding, but it builds skill, confidence, resilience, and results that last a lifetime. Every small effort, repeated daily, adds up. Every step strengthens character and competence. Every day of boring work compounds into extraordinary achievement. This is the path to mastery, stability, and real success.
Chapter 5. Learn to sit with discomfort without quitting. Discomfort is an unavoidable part of life. It arises when challenges push you beyond familiar boundaries. Every step toward growth brings moments of unease, tension, and resistance. Most people react to these sensations by quitting, avoiding, or escaping. They leave projects unfinished, abandon goals, or settle for less than they are capable of. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not intelligence, luck, or talent. It is the ability to sit with discomfort without giving up. Learning to remain present in uncomfortable moments builds resilience, strength, and capability. It trains the mind to respond rather than react, to endure rather than flee, and to persevere when others would surrender. Discomfort often feels like a physical or emotional signal. Your heart may race, your stomach may tense, or your muscles may stiffen. Your mind may flood with thoughts of doubt, fear, or the desire to escape. Recognizing these signals is the first step. They are indicators that you are stepping outside your comfort zone and into the area where growth occurs. Avoiding them prevents development. Embracing them allows you to expand your capacity, strengthen your character, and achieve results that are otherwise unattainable. Start by observing your reactions to discomfort. Notice the moments when you feel the urge to quit. Pay attention to your breathing, your body posture, and the thoughts that arise. Awareness does not require action immediately. Simply noticing the sensation without judgment creates a small but powerful pause between impulse and behavior. This pause is where control begins. When you can observe discomfort without reacting automatically, you gain the ability to make deliberate choices about how to respond. Next, practice small exposures. Deliberately choose tasks or challenges that are slightly uncomfortable but manageable. This could be speaking up in a meeting, tackling a difficult exercise routine, or completing a project that feels daunting. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself, but to build tolerance gradually. Each successful encounter with discomfort adds to your capacity. Each moment of perseverance reinforces the belief that you are capable of enduring challenges and completing what you start. Discomfort often arises from uncertainty. Fear of unknown outcomes makes the mind crave retreat. By sitting with this feeling, you teach yourself that uncertainty is not a threat. It is a natural part of taking action and progressing toward goal. When discomfort is tolerated, you begin to see that fears and anxieties are temporary sensations that do not dictate reality. The ability to remain steady in uncertainty builds mental clarity, courage, and the ability to make decisions under pressure. Physical and mental preparation enhances endurance. Strong routines in sleep, nutrition, exercise, and planning support the mind during moments of strain. When the body is resilient, the mind can handle discomfort more effectively. Mental strategies such as controlled breathing, focused attention, and positive self-talk reduce the intensity of discomfort. These techniques provide stability and prevent the urge to quit from dominating decisions. Reframing discomfort is essential.
Instead of viewing it as a signal to stop, see it as information. Discomfort indicates that you are approaching growth, learning, or progress. Each moment of unease carries valuable feedback about effort, strategy, and focus. Observing discomfort as a teacher, rather than an obstacle, transforms your relationship with challenge. You begin to approach difficult tasks with curiosity, attention, and determination rather than fear and avoidance. Persistence develops through repetition. Enduring discomfort once is not enough. Consistent exposure to challenging circumstances gradually increases tolerance. Each repeated encounter strengthens mental resilience. The mind becomes accustomed to navigating stress without surrendering. Over time, situations that once felt overwhelming are manageable. Confidence emerges naturally because experience has demonstrated capability. The cumulative effect of repeated practice creates a mindset that expects difficulty and responds with perseverance rather than avoidance. Self-talk is critical in these moments. The internal dialogue can either reinforce surrender or strengthen endurance. Replace thoughts of quitting with statements that affirm capability, focus, and determination. For example, instead of thinking, "I cannot handle this," practice saying, "I can endure this challenge and learn from it." Consistent, deliberate self-talk rewires the mind to interpret discomfort as manageable rather than threatening. Over time, this internal narrative becomes automatic, supporting perseverance under stress. Goal orientation reinforces the ability to sit with discomfort. When the purpose of effort is clear, enduring difficulty becomes meaningful. Identify why you are undertaking the challenge. Understand the outcome you seek. Linking discomfort to tangible objectives strengthens motivation and reduces the tendency to quit. The mind is more willing to tolerate pain or unease when it serves a greater purpose. Clear goals transform moments of struggle into stepping stones toward achievement. Discomfort often reveals weaknesses or gaps in preparation. Use these moments as diagnostic tools. Analyze what is causing the unease. Is it lack of skill, insufficient planning, emotional response, or external pressure? Understanding the source allows targeted improvement. Addressing the underlying cause of discomfort strengthens competence and reduces future vulnerability. By learning from each encounter, discomfort becomes a pathway for growth rather than an obstacle to avoid. Time management supports endurance. Breaking large, uncomfortable tasks into smaller, manageable steps reduces the sense of overwhelm. Focus on completing one step at a time while maintaining awareness of effort and reaction. Gradual progress maintains momentum and reduces the urge to quit. By structuring effort strategically, discomfort is navigated efficiently and effectively. Reflection deepens resilience. After each challenging experience, review what happened, how you felt, and how you responded. Record insights, lessons, and strategies for improvement. Reflection transforms temporary discomfort into long-term learning. Patterns emerge that allow anticipation and preparation for future challenges. Over time, this reflective practice strengthens the mind's ability to endure difficulty without emotional collapse. Environmental factors influence your capacity to sit with discomfort. Choose surroundings that support resilience. Minimize distractions, negative influences, or pressures that amplify stress unnecessarily. Surround yourself with people who reinforce perseverance rather than enable avoidance. Environment is not the primary driver of endurance, but it can either support or hinder consistent practice. Discomfort also trains emotional regulation. Moments of tension trigger reactions such as frustration, anxiety, or impatience. By remaining present and calm during these instances, emotional control is strengthened. Techniques such as focusing on breath, observing sensations objectively, or redirecting attention allow the mind to process stress without being overwhelmed. Emotional stability enhances decision-making. problem solving, and overall performance. Deliberate exposure builds tolerance progressively. Start with situations that produce moderate discomfort and gradually tackle increasingly challenging circumstances. Avoiding extremes initially prevents burnout and discouragement. Each level of exposure reinforces capacity and confidence. Over time, the cumulative effect produces a mindset that can handle significant pressure without retreating. Consistency is key. Learning to sit with discomfort is not a one-time exercise. Daily opportunities arise in work, relationships, health, and personal goals. Persistent engagement with unease reinforces mental toughness. Each repetition strengthens the neural pathways associated with endurance. Over months and years, the mind becomes skilled at tolerating challenges, reducing anxiety, and sustaining effort until completion. Accountability enhances practice. Sharing commitments and progress with a trusted peer or mentor increases motivation to endure discomfort. External observation reinforces internal discipline. Knowing that actions are visible to others encourages persistence, strengthens reliability, and develops character. Combined with personal reflection, accountability ensures that endurance is deliberate and effective. The habit of facing discomfort improves problem solving. Challenges often involve uncertainty and difficulty. By learning to remain present during unease, the mind can analyze situations rationally and strategically rather than reacting impulsively. Creativity, adaptability, and judgment improve. Those who avoid discomfort remain reactive, while those who embrace it become proactive in finding solutions. Enduring discomfort is inseparable from long-term success. Goals of significance are never free from struggle. Physical, mental, and emotional challenges are inherent in achieving wealth, mastery, or personal growth. Those who quit at the first sign of unease rarely reach their potential. Those who learn to remain present, focused, and persistent transform obstacles into opportunities for growth, skill development, and achievement. Self-awareness magnifies results. Observing internal responses during discomfort reveals patterns in behavior, thought, and emotion. Awareness allows intervention. Adjustments in strategy, mindset, or effort become possible. The mind learns to interpret discomfort as information rather than threat. This deliberate approach strengthens competence and reinforces resilience. Over time, sitting with discomfort becomes a habit. The initial struggle diminishes as tolerance grows. Challenges that once caused stress become manageable. The mind expects effort, anticipates unease, and remains steady. Endurance transforms into natural behavior rather than conscious struggle. Comfort is no longer the default. Controlled persistence becomes standard. Physical endurance supports mental endurance. Fatigue, hunger, or poor physical health amplifies discomfort. Regular exercise, adequate rest, and proper nutrition provide stability. The mind responds more effectively when the body is resilient. Discomfort is more manageable when basic needs are met and energy levels are sustained. Small victories accumulate. Each time discomfort is endured without quitting, self-confidence grows. The mind learns that struggle does not signal failure. Competence is reinforced, momentum builds, and the ability to face future challenges improves. Accumulated experience creates a foundation of strength that supports increasingly difficult endeavors. Deliberate practice in discomfort fosters independence. Reliance on external support or constant reassurance diminishes. You develop the ability to navigate challenges through internal resources, judgment, and persistence. Self-reliance strengthens confidence and enhances decision-making under pressure. Ultimately, learning to sit with discomfort without quitting transforms identity. You become someone capable of handling stress, facing challenges, and pursuing goals relentlessly. Confidence, resilience, and competence grow naturally. Life no longer dictates reactions. You act intentionally and steadily. Discomfort becomes a tool rather than an obstacle. Each moment endured reinforces strength, skill, and self-trust.
Commitment to this practice changes outcome. Success is no longer dependent on luck, convenience, or favorable circumstances. It emerges from deliberate action, steady effort, and the ability to remain present and persistent through adversity. By sitting with discomfort consistently, you develop the foundation for achievement, mastery, and self-mastery that endures across all areas of life. The mind adapts. As endurance grows, discomfort loses its power to paralyze or intimidate. Tasks become opportunities for growth. Challenges are approached strategically. Confidence arises not from ease, but from repeated proof that you can handle struggle. Over time, persistence becomes effortless, and achievement becomes predictable. Start with small challenges today. Remain present, observe sensations, manage reactions, and follow through. Repeat tomorrow. Each encounter compounds. Strength, resilience, and capability grow quietly, yet powerfully. Over months and years, the consistent practice of enduring discomfort without quitting transforms life. It turns temporary tension into permanent strength, struggle into skill, and challenge into opportunity. Every moment of perseverance builds momentum, competence, and the foundation for extraordinary success.
Chapter 6. Direct attention toward growth, not comparison habits. Directing attention toward personal growth, rather than comparison, is one of the most important skills for long-term success. Too often, people measure themselves against others, their progress filtered through what someone else has achieved. Social media, casual conversations, and professional environments create constant opportunities to look outward rather than inward. The problem with comparison is that it focuses energy on outcomes that are not within your control. When attention is on other people's successes, failures, or progress, you lose focus on the only thing you can truly influence: your own effort, mindset, and decisions. Growth begins when attention is intentionally redirected inward, toward building skill, resilience, and competence. Human psychology makes comparison feel natural. The mind constantly evaluates relative status, achievement, and approval. This mechanism once had survival value, helping humans navigate social hierarchies and group dynamics. Today, it often leads to dissatisfaction, distraction, and self-doubt. Noticing this instinct is the first step. Being aware that your attention is drawn outward allows you to regain control. Instead of judging your worth based on others, focus on measurable progress in your own abilities, habits, and knowledge. Begin with awareness. Observe the moments when you feel envy, inadequacy, or distraction. Ask yourself what triggered the reaction. Did a colleague succeed faster than you? Did someone share an achievement online? Did a friend earn recognition? Notice the emotional response. Instead of reacting with judgment, use it as information. Recognize the pattern without condemnation. Awareness provides the pause necessary to shift focus toward personal growth. Growth is tangible. It can be measured by skill acquisition, consistency, effort, or results over time. Unlike comparison, which often creates a moving target, growth is concrete and actionable. Set clear benchmarks for yourself. Track progress in habits, tasks, and abilities. Document accomplishments, no matter how small. This creates evidence that reinforces self-efficacy. The mind responds to proof. Observing personal advancement strengthens motivation and confidence without relying on external validation. Comparison often fuels negative emotion. Frustration, jealousy, and anxiety arise when others achieve more or faster. These emotions drain energy and reduce clarity. Growth-oriented attention, by contrast, generates focus, curiosity, and productive motivation. When you shift focus inward, you observe gaps and opportunities instead of judgment or envy. Energy that would be wasted on resentment becomes fuel for improvement. Every hour spent comparing is an hour that could have been invested in skill development or productive action. The environment influences comparison habits.
Social media, workplace culture, and peer groups constantly provide reference points. Awareness of these triggers allows strategic intervention. Limit exposure to platforms or people that provoke unproductive comparison. Surround yourself with sources of inspiration that emphasize learning, effort, and mastery rather than status or outcome. Environmental design is a powerful tool for maintaining attention on personal growth. Set long-term vision alongside short-term action. Growth requires consistent effort applied to meaningful goals. Comparison often focuses on immediate achievements of others, creating a false sense of urgency or pressure. By setting your own milestones and pursuing deliberate progress, you maintain focus and momentum. Daily actions accumulate into skill, competence, and results. Growth is incremental, measurable, and under your control, whereas comparison is unpredictable, external, and psychologically draining. Mindset is central. Viewing life as a learning process rather than a race against others reduces the power of comparison. Adopt a mindset that values effort, resilience, and self-improvement. Recognize that everyone has a unique path shaped by experience, resources, and opportunity. External achievements are not accurate indicators of your worth or potential. Shifting to a growth mindset turns attention inward and builds habits that compound into long-term advantage. Reflection enhances the ability to focus on growth. At the end of each day, review accomplishments, lessons learned, and areas for improvement. Compare current performance only against your own past performance. Ask what worked, what could be improved, and what you will do differently tomorrow. This habit shifts attention from others to self, creating a feedback loop that strengthens competence and resilience over time. Progress becomes evident, tangible, and motivating. Self-talk shapes attention. When comparison thoughts arise, consciously redirect internal dialogue. Replace "they are ahead of me" with "what can I do today to improve?" Replace "I should be like them" with "how am I progressing on my own path?" Deliberate language rewires the brain to focus on actionable growth rather than unproductive evaluation. Over time, this internal practice reduces reactive emotional responses and strengthens discipline, focus, and self-efficacy. Measurement tools support growth-focused attention. Use journals, progress trackers, or habit logs to document efforts, results, and improvement. Objective records provide clear evidence of development. They prevent the mind from being hijacked by the fluctuating achievements of others. Each recorded step reinforces progress and provides motivation to continue. Growth becomes quantifiable and observable rather than subjective and comparison-dependent. Small, consistent actions compound. Reading, skill practice, networking, and deliberate effort may seem minor individually, but they accumulate over weeks and months. Unlike comparison, which is often episodic and unpredictable, steady action produces reliable outcomes. Focusing on what you can control ensures continuous advancement. The compounding effect of repeated, deliberate effort is the real driver of success. Accountability reinforces attention toward growth. Sharing progress with mentors, peers, or coaches provides perspective and motivation. Feedback becomes a tool for improvement rather than a source of judgment. Accountability systems emphasize effort, skill, and consistency rather than external benchmarks. Constructive input strengthens growth-oriented focus while minimizing the urge to measure against others. Emotional regulation supports this practice. Comparison often triggers stress responses, including anxiety, frustration, or self-doubt. Techniques such as deep breathing, mindfulness, and focused reflection allow the mind to maintain calm and redirect energy productively. Managing emotional reactions ensures attention remains on improvement rather than envy or resentment. Prioritize learning over outcome.
When attention shifts to acquiring skills, knowledge, and habits, success becomes a byproduct rather than a target. Comparison emphasizes results, which are external and often influenced by uncontrollable factors. Growth-focused effort emphasizes mastery and capability, both of which remain under personal control. Skills acquired persist and compound, while outcomes fluctuate based on circumstances. Identify personal benchmarks. Define success in terms of effort, consistency, and achievement relative to your own past performance. Compare today's effort to yesterday's, this week's results to last week's, and this month's progress to previous month. This approach creates clarity, reduces stress, and reinforces momentum. Comparison with others rarely accounts for context, effort, or circumstance, making it unreliable as a measure of progress. Strategic planning enhances growth-focused attention. Map actions that contribute to long-term development. Break complex goals into daily, manageable tasks. Each completed task strengthens skill, knowledge, and resilience. Planning reduces susceptibility to distraction or envy, because every action has a defined purpose. Daily execution builds evidence of improvement, reinforcing motivation and focus. Visualization supports growth orientation. Mentally rehearsing skills, tasks, and desired outcomes strengthens neural pathways and builds confidence. Instead of comparing your current state with someone else's, imagine yourself performing consistently, improving over time, and achieving personal milestones. Visualization reinforces attention on self-improvement, reduces anxiety, and strengthens performance in real situations. Habits anchor progress. Repeatedly engaging in practices that improve knowledge, skill, and resilience creates automatic patterns of growth. Habits reduce the mental energy required to act, making daily improvement sustainable. Unlike comparison, which requires constant attention to external variables, habits ensure that development continues steadily and reliably. Reflection on setbacks reinforces learning. Instead of observing someone else's success and feeling inadequate, examine your own mistakes and missteps. Analyze why progress was slowed or blocked. Adjust strategies, refine effort, and take deliberate action. Personal analysis converts setbacks into opportunities rather than triggers for envy. Growth is continuous and informed, while comparison is episodic and reactive. Patience is crucial. Growth is incremental. The process is steady, often invisible moment to moment. Comparison creates impatience, frustration, and distraction. Attention to consistent improvement develops endurance, discipline, and mastery over time. Celebrate small victories and recognize that sustained effort outweighs sudden, external achievements. Self-compassion supports sustained focus. Avoid harsh judgment when growth seems slow. Understand that learning and development require time, effort, and occasional failure. Comparing your journey to others' achievements undermines confidence and reduces motivation. Treat yourself as an evolving individual. Each deliberate step reinforces competence, self-trust, and motivation. Direct attention to influence. Focus on actions, decisions, and effort that can be controlled rather than outcomes shaped by others. Growth-oriented attention emphasizes measurable, actionable, and intentional progress. Comparison diverts energy to factors beyond control. When energy is applied where it has impact, results accumulate naturally. Reinforce identity through repeated focus. The more you consistently prioritize personal growth over comparison, the more your identity aligns with capability, resilience, and deliberate action. You begin to see yourself as someone who develops skills, maintains discipline, and grows steadily. Comparison loses power because self-concept becomes anchored in achievement, effort, and improvement. Integration of growth-focused habits into daily life produces compounding results. Morning routines, skill-building exercises, reflection periods, and planning sessions maintain attention on improvement. Over weeks and months, incremental gains accumulate into visible competence, confidence, and result. Comparison becomes irrelevant because the trajectory of personal development is clear and measurable. Focus on long-term vision rather than short-term results. Comparison often exaggerates the importance of immediate achievement, leading to distraction and anxiety. Growth requires sustained effort, strategic planning, and daily execution. The combination of long-term perspective and deliberate attention to personal improvement produces meaningful outcomes that surpass the fleeting successes of those who measure themselves against others. Start now by identifying measurable ways to track growth. Record progress, refine habits, and monitor skills. Notice when attention drifts to others and redirect to self-improvement. Each deliberate choice strengthens capacity, focus, and resilience. Over time, consistent attention to growth builds mastery, confidence, and enduring success. Comparison loses relevance because your trajectory is defined by your effort, not the achievements of others. Focus on your path, evaluate, act, adjust, and persist. Growth becomes the primary measure of success. Energy is invested in skill, knowledge, and consistency. Every day compounds progress. Each deliberate action strengthens resilience and capability. Comparison habits fade because personal development is more compelling, more achievable, and entirely within your control. This is how attention directed toward growth produces results, mastery, and a life defined by capability rather than envy or distraction.
Chapter 7. Shape identity around being reliable with money. Developing a reliable relationship with money begins with shaping your identity around trustworthiness, discipline, and accountability. Most people treat money as something external to themselves, a fleeting resource that appears or disappears based on circumstance or luck. This mindset creates inconsistency, poor decisions, and anxiety. To build lasting wealth, you must see yourself as someone who manages money responsibly at every level, from daily spending to long-term planning. Identity drives behavior. How you see yourself determines the choices you make. If you identify as someone who is careless with money, even the best plans will falter. Reliability with money is not about luck, chance, or opportunity. It is about cultivating habits, decisions, and a mindset that aligns consistently with financial responsibility. Start by examining your current relationship with money. Observe patterns in spending, saving, and decision-making. Are you impulsive, reactive, or inconsistent? Do you avoid thinking about finances until problems arise? Awareness is the first step toward change. Without acknowledging existing tendencies, it is impossible to create a new identity. Track every expense, analyze every financial decision, and notice how emotions influence choices. Data creates clarity. Understanding the past enables deliberate action in the present. Accountability is central to reliability. Reliable individuals track commitments and follow through. The same principle applies to money. Make a plan and hold yourself accountable for following it. If a budget is created, adhere to it. If a saving goal is set, monitor progress daily or weekly. External accountability can also help. Share goals with a trusted mentor, partner, or financial advisor. Accountability reinforces identity because it establishes evidence that you act consistently and responsibly, not sporadically or impulsively. Small, consistent habits compound over time. Financial reliability is built through repeated actions that align with long-term objectives. Saving a fixed portion of income each month, paying bills on time, and avoiding unnecessary debt may seem minor individually,
Over months and years, these repeated behaviors produce stability, freedom, and growth. Each action reinforces the belief that you are someone who can be trusted with resources. Over time, these habits become part of your identity rather than conscious effort. Emotional control is a crucial component. Money often triggers strong feelings, fear, guilt, envy, or desire. A reliable person does not make decisions purely based on emotion. Instead, they pause, analyze, and act deliberately. When temptation arises, whether to overspend or take unnecessary risks, the disciplined response strengthens identity. Each decision that aligns with responsible behavior reinforces the mental model of being financially trustworthy. Budgeting and planning are foundational tools. They provide structure and visibility. Reliable individuals know exactly where money is going and why. Plans should be realistic, sustainable, and aligned with long-term goals. Planning is not restrictive, it is liberating because it reduces uncertainty and prevents reactive decision-making. When you operate within a well-defined financial framework, your actions reflect the identity of someone who is organized, strategic, and dependable. Avoid impulsivity. Financial mistakes often occur when decisions are made in haste or under stress. Reliable individuals recognize impulses, analyze them, and choose responses consistent with their identity. For example, instead of making an immediate purchase that provides short-term pleasure, they consider how it aligns with savings or investment goals. This practice strengthens self-control and reinforces the mindset of financial reliability. Tracking progress is essential. Record savings, investments, spending patterns, and debt reduction. Monitoring progress creates tangible evidence of consistency. Over time, the accumulation of responsible decisions becomes visible and motivating. This feedback reinforces the identity of someone who can be trusted with money. It creates confidence, reduces anxiety, and allows for adjustment when necessary. Data removes subjectivity and ensures decisions are informed rather than reactive. Develop a long-term perspective. Reliability with money is not about occasional large successes or wins. It is about sustained, steady decisions that accumulate value over time. Investment growth, debt reduction, and savings targets are achieved gradually. Short-term setbacks may occur, but the identity of reliability prevents panic or drastic reaction. Patience, consistency, and perseverance define how reliable people behave, reinforcing their self-concept. Education supports responsible identity. Knowledge of finance, investing, and wealth building allows confident decision-making. Reliable individuals are informed, they understand the consequences of choices, and can anticipate potential risks. Learning about taxes, budgeting strategies, and investment options reduces reliance on luck or guesswork. Informed decisions reflect intentionality, which strengthens the mental framework of reliability. The more knowledge acquired, the more consistent and empowered behavior becomes. Set boundaries with spending. Reliable people establish limits that protect resources from impulsive depletion. Clear rules about discretionary spending, debt limits, and investment allocation prevent erratic behavior. Boundaries are not restrictive, they are instruments that maintain alignment with long-term objectives. Each time a boundary is respected, identity is reinforced. Every moment of discipline strengthens the internal narrative of being someone dependable with resources. Invest in systems that automate reliability. Automatic savings, bill payments, and investment contributions reduce human error and reliance on willpower alone. Systems transform intentions into actions consistent. Each automatic action strengthens the pattern of responsible behavior and supports identity formation. Over time, habits become ingrained, creating a default mode of financial reliability.
Systems amplify the effect of discipline and reduce the chance of inconsistency. Decision-making frameworks improve reliability. Before making purchases or investments, ask, does this align with my long-term goals? Does it reflect the behavior of someone I want to be? These questions create a pause for analysis and reinforce identity. Decisions become intentional rather than reactive. Over time, the repetition of this process makes responsible choices automatic. Identity and action become inseparable. Learning from mistakes is critical. No one is perfect, and errors will occur. The difference is how they are processed. Reliable individuals analyze failures, extract lessons, and adjust strategies. They do not allow mistakes to redefine identity. Each correction reinforces commitment to disciplined behavior. Failure becomes data rather than a threat to self-concept. Growth and resilience are reinforced through consistent, reflective action. Accountability extends to long-term commitments. Mortgage payments, retirement contributions, and business investments require ongoing attention. Reliability is proven through persistence over months and years. Each sustained commitment demonstrates competence and strengthens identity. Short-term indulgence or neglect weakens trust in oneself, whereas ongoing adherence builds confidence and stability. Align lifestyle with goals. Avoid excessive comparison, debt-driven consumption, or chasing status symbols beyond means. Identity is reinforced when daily actions reflect intentions. A reliable person does not overextend or live beyond capacity. Consistency in lifestyle decisions mirrors long-term financial reliability, creating harmony between action and self-perception. Mentorship enhances financial identity. Learning from those who model responsible behavior accelerates understanding and habit formation. Observing, emulating, and integrating best practices reinforces the belief that reliability is attainable. Mentors provide guidance, perspective, and accountability that strengthens decision-making and confidence. Discipline extends to risk management. Reliable individuals understand when to take calculated risks and when to preserve resources. They do not gamble recklessly or rely on luck. They plan, analyze potential outcomes, and act deliberately. Each decision reinforces competence, foresight, and the identity of someone who manages resources wisely. Reflection consolidates progress. Regularly review financial statements, goals, and strategies. Reflect on successes, missteps, and learning opportunities. Reflection provides clarity, reinforces positive habits, and ensures alignment between actions and identity. Without reflection, consistency can drift, and intentions may lose their effect. Reflection strengthens awareness and accountability, maintaining a robust sense of reliability. Habits of generosity and ethical behavior reinforce identity. Reliability is not only about accumulation, but also about responsible stewardship. Paying debts, honoring agreements, and supporting others consistently strengthens character and reinforces the internal narrative of trustworthiness. Wealth becomes a tool of consistent, deliberate impact rather than chaotic indulgence. Adaptation is necessary. Circumstances change, income fluctuates, and unexpected expenses occur. Reliability is maintained through flexibility, planning, and strategic adjustment. Being dependable does not mean rigidity. It means aligning responses with long-term goals even under changing conditions. Adaptation strengthens competence and reinforces identity, because it reflects control rather than reaction. Self-talk drives behavior to yourself in ways that reinforce reliability. Remind yourself that you are someone who makes deliberate, informed decisions. Celebrate consistency. Acknowledge discipline. Positive reinforcement internalizes behavior and makes responsible choices more automatic. Identity becomes the lens through which all financial decisions are viewed. Visualization strengthens commitment. Picture yourself managing money responsibly, achieving goals and navigating challenges calmly. Repeated mental rehearsal reinforces belief and prepares the mind to act consistently. Visualization supports alignment between identity and action, creating internal coherence that strengthens long-term behavior. Patience compounds results. Financial reliability is not about instant gratification or rapid accumulation. Slow, steady, deliberate actions produce outcomes far greater than impulsive effort. Repeated evidence of consistency builds confidence, skill, and competence. Over time, wealth grows because actions are aligned with identity rather than circumstance or luck. Start with small, deliberate steps. Track spending, save consistently, and honor obligations. Each action reinforces identity. Gradually increase complexity through budgeting, investing, and planning for long-term goals. Over time, repeated intentional behavior builds a self-concept of someone who is trustworthy, disciplined, and reliable with money. Reliability with money transforms life. It provides stability, freedom, and confidence. Decisions are deliberate, risk is managed, and goals are pursued consistently. External circumstances may fluctuate, but identity-driven behavior produces predictable outcomes. Over years, this identity compounds into financial security, opportunity, and the ability to create lasting impact. By shaping your identity around being reliable with money, you internalize responsibility, discipline, and foresight. Behavior aligns naturally with values and goals. Impulse, uncertainty, and reliance on luck fade. Repeated, consistent action produces mastery over resources, skillful decision-making, and long-term growth. Every deliberate choice strengthens the belief that you are someone who can be trusted with wealth, creating a foundation for financial independence, freedom, and a life defined by competence rather than circumstance.
Chapter 8. Practice patience while repeating smart financial behaviors. Patience is one of the most underestimated qualities in building lasting wealth. Most people want quick results, instant recognition, or immediate rewards. Financial growth rarely works that way. True wealth is the product of repeated smart decisions over time, not occasional flashes of effort or luck. Practicing patience means understanding that consistent actions produce outcomes far beyond what can be achieved through impulsive moves or short-term gains. It requires the ability to delay gratification, stay disciplined, and continue performing the right behaviors even when results are not immediately visible. Start by recognizing the natural desire for instant reward. Every human experiences discomfort when effort is not immediately rewarded. This can manifest as frustration, anxiety, or the temptation to abandon plans. Awareness of these impulses is the first step toward controlling them. The key is to separate the desire for immediate satisfaction from the process of long-term improvement. Every time patience is exercised, neural pathways associated with discipline and delayed gratification are strengthened, making it easier to repeat smart behaviors consistently. Consistency is the foundation of patience. Repetition of effective financial habits builds compounding results. Simple actions such as saving a portion of income, investing steadily, avoiding unnecessary debt, and tracking spending may seem insignificant individually. Over months and years, these repeated behaviors multiply into wealth, stability, and freedom. Understanding that small, consistent actions outperform sporadic brilliance allows the mind to stay focused on the long-term path rather than being distracted by temporary setbacks or slow progress. Smart financial behavior is intentional behavior. Each action must align with long-term goals and values. Avoid random spending or impulsive decisions that disrupt compounding.
Treat each choice as a deliberate step toward financial independence. When decisions are intentional, repetition becomes natural. The mind associates each action with progress, reinforcing patience and increasing the likelihood that the behavior will continue over the long term. Avoiding comparison accelerates patience. Observing others' successes often triggers impatience and envy. This creates the urge to act impulsively, chasing results rather than focusing on consistent effort. Shift attention to your own journey. Track your personal progress against past performance, not against external outcome. This focus reduces frustration, strengthens motivation, and allows patience to remain steady even when others appear to achieve more quickly. Visualization supports repeated behavior. Imagine yourself performing financial tasks consistently over months and years. Picture savings growing, investments maturing, and debts decreasing. Repeated mental rehearsal strengthens commitment to real-world behaviors and reduces the impact of temporary challenges. The mind begins to expect gradual growth, making patience a natural response rather than a forced effort. Tracking progress provides tangible evidence that patience produces results. Maintain detailed records of spending, saving, investing, and debt reduction. Reviewing progress over weeks, months, and years demonstrates that consistent effort compounds into meaningful outcomes. Visible proof reinforces the mindset that patience and repeated action are effective. Without tracking, the mind can doubt the value of daily effort, making it harder to persist. Developing patience also involves emotional regulation. Financial growth can trigger anxiety, fear, or excitement. When markets fluctuate, income varies, or unexpected expenses arise, the mind often reacts impulsively. Techniques such as controlled breathing, reflection, and deliberate focus reduce emotional hijacking. When reactions are managed, decisions remain aligned with long-term strategy, reinforcing both patience and reliability. Learning to delay gratification strengthens the ability to repeat smart behaviors. Opt for long-term gains over immediate satisfaction. Choose saving instead of spending, investing over indulgence, and planning over impulsivity. Each time gratification is delayed, the brain reinforces habits that produce sustained results. Deliberate practice of this discipline strengthens both patience and financial maturity. Accountability reinforces consistency and patience. Share goals and progress with mentors, coaches, or peers who understand the importance of long-term strategy. Accountability provides feedback, perspective, and motivation to stay the course. External observation strengthens internal discipline because it creates a system of responsibility that aligns with identity. Every repeated, disciplined action is validated, reinforcing confidence in the process. Reflection accelerates the learning process. After each period, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, review financial behaviors. Identify what actions were repeated consistently and what areas require adjustment. Reflect on emotional responses to successes or setbacks. Understanding patterns allows refinement of strategy, ensuring that repeated actions are both smart and effective. Reflection transforms experience into knowledge, which strengthens both patience and performance. Avoid shortcuts and impulsive solutions. Quick fixes may appear attractive, but rarely produce long-term wealth. Patience requires the courage to resist immediate gains that compromise future growth. Whether it's gambling, speculative investments, or overspending, impulsive choices interrupt the compounding of smart behavior. Consistently choosing deliberate actions over shortcuts builds resilience, stability, and trust in the process. Long-term vision provides context for patience. Set clear goals that stretch over years rather than weeks. Understand the trajectory required to achieve them.
When each action is connected to a broader plan, short-term discomfort or slow progress is easier to tolerate. The mind remains focused on the path rather than being distracted by immediate outcomes. Every repeated action becomes part of a larger story of achievement. Habits anchor repeated behavior. Build routines that automate good financial decisions. Automatic savings, recurring investment contributions, and scheduled financial reviews reduce reliance on willpower. Habits ensure consistency, even when motivation wanes. When smart behaviors become routine, patience is no longer a conscious effort, but a natural response to following the system. Over time, habits compound results and create the structure for wealth accumulation. Decision-making frameworks support disciplined repetition. Before any financial choice, ask if the action aligns with long-term goals, contributes to stability, and reflects consistent behavior. A framework prevents impulsive decisions and ensures that repeated actions remain. Each decision becomes a reinforcement of identity, demonstrating reliability, foresight, and commitment to growth. Education improves patience. The more you understand financial systems, investment principles, and wealth-building strategies, the more confident you become in repeated action. Knowledge reduces anxiety caused by uncertainty. When the rationale for decisions is clear, waiting and repeating behaviors is easier. Education transforms patience from frustration into deliberate strategic focus. Celebrate small milestones. Recognize the incremental effects of repeated behaviors. Every successful saving period, investment contribution, or debt reduction should be acknowledged. Celebration reinforces the value of persistence, creates motivation to continue, and strengthens identity as someone capable of long-term financial discipline. Small wins compound into confidence and reinforce patience over time. Adjustments are part of the process. While repetition is crucial, flexibility allows adaptation to new circumstances. Markets change, opportunity arise, and unexpected expenses occur. Patience is not rigidity, it is maintaining commitment to long-term objectives while adapting intelligently. This balance between consistency and adaptability ensures that repeated behaviors remain effective. Self-talk reinforces persistence. Use language that reminds you of the importance of consistency, effort, and vision. Statements like, "Every step I take today builds my future," or "consistent action compounds into results," shape thought patterns and behavior. Repetition of these internal messages strengthens the mind's alignment with long-term effort, making patience easier to sustain. Time management is a practical tool for repeated action. Allocate specific blocks for budgeting, reviewing investments, tracking expenses, and financial planning. By structuring time deliberately, smart behaviors are repeated consistently, without reliance on memory or motivation alone. Structured repetition ensures that patience produces tangible outcomes rather than abstract intent. Avoid comparing results with others. Comparison often creates impatience, distraction, and frustration. Focus entirely on your repeated actions and their direct impact on your growth. Progress is measured by your consistency, not by external outcomes or the pace of others. Internal metrics build satisfaction, reinforce patience, and encourage continued disciplined behavior. Account for compounding. Understand that repeated smart actions multiply over time. Savings earn interest, investments grow steadily, and habits accumulate skill and competence. Awareness of compounding reinforces the value of patience. Each repeated action contributes to exponential growth, creating motivation to continue even when immediate rewards are small or invisible. Resilience supports repeated behaviors. Challenges, mistakes, or unexpected events can disrupt consistency. Developing resilience ensures that a single setback does not derail progress. Recover quickly, recommit to routines, and continue practicing smart behavior. Repetition becomes ingrained because actions are not abandoned due to temporary discomfort. Resilience and patience reinforce each other in creating steady progress. Visualization of results supports motivation. Picture the long-term outcomes of consistent action. Imagine savings accumulating, investments maturing, and debts diminishing. Visualization strengthens commitment, making repeated behaviors feel purposeful and achievable. The mind begins to expect results over time, reinforcing patience and reducing anxiety about delayed gratification. Review and adjust goals periodically. While repeating behaviors is essential, periodic evaluation ensures alignment with evolving circumstances. Adjust targets to remain challenging, yet attainable. Each reassessment strengthens strategic thinking, maintains motivation, and ensures that patience is applied in the most productive way. Repetition coupled with reflection produces steady growth. Consistency builds identity. By repeating smart financial behaviors, patience becomes a defining trait. You begin to see yourself as someone who plans, acts deliberately, and produces results over time. Identity reinforces action when the self-concept aligns with responsible financial behavior. Patience becomes automatic, and long-term outcomes are secured. Integration into daily life ensures sustainability. Embed financial behaviors into routines so that every day contributes to growth. Automatic deposits, budget reviews, and scheduled learning activities create momentum. Over months and years, repeated actions accumulate, and patience becomes effortless. Wealth and stability emerge as natural consequences of disciplined behavior, rather than chance or luck. Over time, repeated practice strengthens confidence. Evidence accumulates that consistent action produces results. The mind no longer fears delay or uncertainty, because experience has proven that patience. Each completed cycle of disciplined behavior reinforces self-trust, reduces stress, and solidifies the ability to maintain effort over the long term. Start with immediate small deliberate actions. Save today, review investments, track expenses, and plan tomorrow. Repeat consistently. Each step reinforces habits, strengthens patience, and compounds into progress. Over months and years, this disciplined repetition transforms financial stability, capability, and independence. Deliberate action combined with patience produces results that cannot be achieved through luck, impulsivity, or occasional effort. Focus on growth rather than immediate gratification. Repeat intelligent behaviors daily. Track, reflect, adjust, and recommit. Every action compounds into long-term wealth, stability, and confidence. Patience is not passive. It is an active, deliberate, and disciplined force that multiplies the results of smart financial choices. Mastering patience while repeating effective behaviors defines financial independence and ensures sustainable success.
Chapter 9. Remove emotional decisions from everyday spending habits. Emotions influence almost every financial decision, yet most people fail to notice how deeply they shape spending habits. Impulse purchases, overspending when stressed, and buying to chase temporary happiness are all consequences of emotional decision-making. To build wealth and manage money effectively, it is essential to separate feelings from financial choices. Money decisions should be deliberate, logical, and aligned with long-term goals, rather than driven by transient moods or external pressures. Emotional spending creates instability, erodes savings, and undermines trust in oneself. Developing the skill to remove emotion from everyday spending is not a restriction. It is empowerment. Start by observing patterns in your behavior. Track when and why you spend money. Notice the circumstances. Are purchases triggered by stress, boredom, excitement, or social influence? Emotions are often subtle, and the reasons for spending can be unconscious. Awareness is the first step toward control. Keeping a journal of every expense, noting the emotional state at the time, reveals recurring patterns and provides a foundation for change. Without understanding what drives spending, it is impossible to remove emotion effectively. Understand the triggers that prompt emotional purchases. Triggers can be internal or external. Internal triggers include feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, or desire for instant gratification. External triggers might involve advertisements, social media posts, or peer behavior. Each trigger activates a response that may bypass rational thinking. Identifying these triggers allows you to anticipate situations and respond intentionally rather than reactively. Awareness transforms spending from impulsive to deliberate. Create a decision-making framework for spending. Before every purchase, pause and ask, does this align with my long-term financial goals? Is this necessary, or is it temporary satisfaction? Could this money be used more effectively? This simple practice interrupts emotional reactions and ensures decisions reflect priorities rather than momentary impulses. Repetition of this pause strengthens self-discipline and gradually reduces emotional influence over time. Budgeting is a practical tool to prevent emotion-driven spending. A well-structured budget allocates funds to essential needs, savings, and discretionary spending. When limits are set in advance, emotional impulses are constrained by structure. Knowing how much is available for discretionary expenses allows intentional decisions rather than spontaneous choices. Budgets create boundaries that reinforce consistency, discipline, and financial reliability. Automation reduces emotional interference. Automate savings, bill payments, and investment contributions. When money moves according to a predetermined plan, there is less temptation to spend impulsively. Automation also reinforces habits that are consistent with long-term objectives. By reducing the number of decisions made under emotional influence, you create a system that prioritizes stability and growth over temporary pleasure. Pause before every purchase. Develop the habit of waiting at least 24 hours before non-essential spending. Emotional urges often fade when given time. Immediate gratification is powerful, but delayed decision-making allows the rational mind to evaluate necessity and long-term impact. Over time, this pause builds discipline, reduces regret, and reinforces a consistent approach to money management. Track progress regularly. Review spending patterns weekly or monthly to identify areas where emotions influence decisions. Analyze mistakes without judgment, noting triggers and outcomes. Tracking creates accountability and reinforces intentional behavior. Seeing concrete evidence of controlled spending builds confidence and strengthens the habit of separating emotion from action. Emotional regulation enhances financial control. Learn to identify bodily and mental cues associated with emotional impulses, racing heart, tension, excitement, or anxiety. When these cues appear, pause, breathe, and consciously redirect focus to rational evaluation. Mindfulness practices, meditation, or grounding exercises help manage the intensity of impulses. By controlling the physiological response, you prevent emotions from hijacking decision-making. Replace emotional habits with deliberate action. For example, if stress triggers shopping, identify alternative coping strategies such as exercise, reflection, or problem-solving. When boredom leads to impulsive purchases, create structured leisure activities that are fulfilling without financial cost. Each substitution reinforces control and trains the mind to seek deliberate responses rather than reflexive spending. Set clear priorities. Define what money means in your life, what goals are most important,
and what values guide decisions. Clarity provides a filter through which all spending decisions pass. When priorities are clear, emotional urges lose power because the decision-making process is anchored in purpose and long-term objectives, rather than fleeting feeling. Consistently referring to these priorities reinforces identity and behavior. Practice mindful consumption. Evaluate the necessity, value and utility of every purchase. Ask, will this choice benefit me in the long term? Is it consistent with my financial plan? Mindfulness slows reactive behavior and strengthens rational evaluation. Each intentional choice strengthens habits that reduce emotional interference, gradually reshaping behavior into deliberate financial stewardship. Create accountability system. Share spending goals with a trusted friend, partner or financial coach. External oversight reinforces internal discipline and creates motivation to adhere to plans. Accountability also provides perspective, helping identify patterns of emotional spending that may be overlooked. Feedback supports consistency and strengthens the identity of someone in control of their finances. Education reduces emotional influence. Understanding how money works, the power of compound interest, and the consequences of debt or poor spending habits gives rational context to decisions. Knowledge decreases the appeal of impulsive choices because the long-term impact becomes clear. The more informed a person is, the easier it is to prioritize strategy over emotion. Each informed decision reinforces confidence and control. Set financial boundaries with others. Peer pressure and social expectations often drive emotional spending. Learn to say no when necessary. Communicate intentions clearly to friends, family or colleagues. Maintaining these boundaries prevents external emotional triggers from undermining your financial discipline. Respecting personal limits strengthens autonomy and reinforces the identity of a responsible decision-maker. Develop systems for major spending decisions. For significant purchases, establish structured steps. Research options, evaluate costs, and compare alternatives. Follow each step systematically before committing. Structured processes remove emotion from high-stakes decisions, replacing impulsivity with deliberate action. Over time, decision-making becomes habitual, rational and aligned with long-term goals. Reflection strengthens learning. After each spending period, review all decisions. Identify where emotions influenced behavior and where rational thinking prevailed. Record lessons learned and strategies for improvement. Reflection transforms mistakes into opportunities and successes into reinforcement for disciplined behavior. Over time, this cycle strengthens the ability to make intentional financial choices consistently. Visualization supports rational spending. Imagine scenarios where impulsive purchases are replaced with thoughtful decision-making. Mentally rehearse evaluating alternatives, delaying gratification, and aligning choices with long-term goals. Visualization strengthens neural pathways associated with discipline, making rational responses more automatic when faced with real-world situations. Limit exposure to triggers. Avoid environments, advertisements, and situations that encourage emotional spending. Strategic reduction of triggers reduces temptation and the mental effort required to resist impulse. Environmental control complements internal strategies, creating a holistic approach to disciplined financial behavior. Celebrate rational decisions. Acknowledge moments when spending was thoughtful and aligned with goals. Reinforcing positive behavior strengthens habits and self-concept. Each success builds confidence, reduces anxiety and increases the likelihood of continuing deliberate emotion-free spending. Recognition is a tool for internalizing control and reinforcing consistent behavior. Use mental script. Prepare responses for situations that typically trigger emotional spending. For example, if an advertisement provokes desire, have a pre-planned statement to remind yourself of priorities or budget.
Mental scripts create automatic pauses, interrupting emotional impulses and facilitating rational evaluation. Over time, scripts reduce mental effort and make disciplined spending instinctive. Separate short-term satisfaction from long-term outcome. Emotional spending often seeks immediate gratification, but this undermines future goals. Cultivate awareness of the consequences of choices over weeks, months, and years. Understanding the long-term impact strengthens motivation to act rationally, increasing control over impulses and reinforcing deliberate decision-making. Develop resilience to setbacks. Occasional lapses in spending discipline are inevitable. Responding with reflection and adjustment rather than guilt or panic maintains control. Each recovery reinforces identity as someone capable of intentional financial behavior. Resilience prevents emotional reactions from escalating and strengthens long-term consistency. Automation, reflection, mindfulness, and education together create a robust framework for removing emotion from spending. When repeated consistently, these practices transform decision-making. Emotion no longer dictates behavior. Rational evaluation becomes the default. Each intentional choice compounds into stability, savings, and predictable growth. Daily practice integrates rational spending into life. Track, evaluate, reflect, and plan consistently. Make conscious choices aligned with goals. Avoid reactive behavior by creating systems that support deliberate action. Over time, these repeated actions build financial competence, confidence, and independence. Emotional spending diminishes because structured, intentional behavior dominates. Start immediately by observing spending patterns. Identify triggers, create plans, and implement pauses before purchases. Track progress, reflect, and adjust strategies. Each day of deliberate financial behavior strengthens the habit of separating emotion from action. Over months and years, repeated practice produces measurable growth, stability, and freedom. Financial control emerges when emotional impulses are consistently replaced with intentional decisions. Each conscious choice reinforces identity, builds trust in oneself, and compounds results. Predictable, rational, and deliberate financial behavior produces security and opportunity that cannot be achieved through luck, impulse, or reactive spending. Mastery over everyday decisions is the foundation for lasting wealth and financial independence.
Chapter 10. Commit to learning even when results stay invisible. Learning is the invisible engine behind every success, yet most people give up when results do not appear immediately. The truth is, growth takes time. Progress often accumulates silently before becoming visible. Committing to learning even when results remain unseen is the foundation of lasting achievement. Wealth, skill, and mastery are rarely instant. They are the product of consistent effort, curiosity, and disciplined improvement. Patience and persistence in learning create the conditions for exponential results over time. Even when the immediate outcome feels negligible, start by recognizing that frustration with delayed results is normal. Human brains are wired to seek instant feedback and reward. When effort does not produce immediate visible changes, the mind doubts the value of action. Understanding this natural tendency helps prevent abandonment of learning. Awareness allows the conscious mind to commit to a process that produces results gradually, rather than relying on immediate gratification. Focus on building systems of continuous learning. Reading, listening, observing, practicing, and reflecting are all methods to expand knowledge and skill. Repetition and structured practice embed understanding deeply. Each small increment compounds over time, even if the immediate impact is imperceptible. Consistency matters more than intensity in the early stages. Regular, manageable learning sessions create momentum that sustains growth for years. Embrace curiosity. Ask questions about why things work, how outcomes occur, and what patterns exist. Curiosity drives deeper understanding and makes learning self-sustaining.
When curiosity guides effort, motivation persists even without visible reward. It transforms effort from obligation to a process of exploration, which encourages continued commitment and cultivates insight that builds long-term advantage. Reflection strengthens learning. Each day, review what was studied, applied, or observed. Identify lessons learned, insights gained, and opportunities for improvement. Even when results are invisible, reflection reinforces understanding and tracks progress mentally. Journaling or recording observations transforms intangible growth into tangible evidence over time, making invisible learning more real and motivating. Set clear, measurable goals for learning. Define what skills or knowledge are most important and establish benchmarks. Progress may not immediately translate to external results, but internal capability develops consistently. Goals create focus and direction, ensuring that effort is intentional rather than scattered. Each completed milestone, no matter how small, reinforces commitment and builds confidence in the learning process. Practice deliberate effort. Learning without application is incomplete. Apply knowledge consistently to real-world scenarios, projects, or practice exercises. Deliberate practice accelerates mastery and ensures that skills are internalized. Even if results remain invisible externally, competence deepens. Over time, repeated application builds both expertise and confidence, creating a foundation for future success that emerges naturally. Accept discomfort. Learning often challenges assumptions, exposes weaknesses, and pushes beyond comfort zones. Resistance, frustration, and doubt are part of growth. Recognizing that discomfort is normal allows persistence. Avoiding challenges only slows progress. Each moment of disciplined engagement with difficult material strengthens resilience, deepens understanding, and ensures that the invisible work accumulates into tangible capability. Detach from the need for immediate validation. External recognition or rewards are not the measure of progress. Relying on visible outcomes for motivation creates dependence on chance or circumstance. True commitment to learning focuses on internal development. Skills, understanding, and competence grow independently of external acknowledgement. Trusting the process builds long-term momentum and reduces the likelihood of giving up prematurely. Develop mental habits that reinforce learning. Schedule time daily or weekly to read, study, practice, or reflect. Consistency turns effort into routine, reducing reliance on fluctuating motivation. When learning is habitual, persistence continues even when immediate results are absent. Habits compound over months and years, producing expertise and insight that eventually manifest as visible achievements. Seek feedback strategically. Input from mentors, peers, or experts accelerates understanding. Honest critique identifies gaps, improves performance, and prevents wasted effort. Feedback is a mirror that reveals invisible aspects of learning and highlights areas for adjustment. Incorporating feedback reinforces competence, strengthens the learning process, and ensures that delayed results are building toward meaningful outcomes. Measure micro-progress. Even when big results are invisible, small indicators of improvement exist. Skill refinement, increased understanding, better decision-making, and greater efficiency are subtle signs of growth. Tracking these incremental improvements provides motivation, reinforces commitment, and validates the invisible accumulation of knowledge. Small steps accumulate into major transformation over time. Commitment requires self-discipline. Consistency in learning, even when motivation fluctuates, distinguishes those who succeed from those who give up. Discipline ensures that effort continues, despite external distractions or internal doubts. Each discipline session reinforces identity as someone dedicated to growth and strengthens the neural pathways associated with persistence and mastery. Develop resilience for setback. Not all learning produces immediate success, and failure is part of the process. Each mistake, misunderstanding, or challenge provides information to refine strategy. Treat setbacks as data, not judgment. The invisible accumulation of experience through errors strengthens competence and prepares for eventual visible success. Resilience transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. Integrate learning into everyday life. Knowledge retention and skill acquisition improve when applied consistently to daily decisions, habits, and routines. Each choice becomes a practice opportunity, even if results are not immediately measurable. Integration ensures that learning is not abstract but functional, reinforcing internalization and long-term mastery. Focus on systems over outcomes. External results may fluctuate due to circumstances beyond control. By committing to structured, repeated processes, progress continues regardless of immediate visible reward. Systems create stability, predictability, and compounding growth. Learning becomes a reliable driver of improvement, and patience ensures that effort accumulates unseen benefits until they manifest tangibly. Visualize long-term outcomes. Even when results remain invisible, imagining the impact of accumulated learning strengthens motivation. Picture mastery, improved performance, and competence emerging over time. Visualization aligns mental expectation with the process, reinforces commitment, and reduces the temptation to abandon effort prematurely. The mind becomes conditioned to trust the process of invisible growth. Detach identity from immediate results. Self-worth should not depend on what is visible today. Commit to internal development rather than external validation. Consistently engaging in learning shapes identity as a capable, persistent, and knowledgeable person. Over time, this identity produces visible outcomes naturally, as effort compounds. Focusing on identity rather than results ensures sustainable commitment. Practice patience daily. Recognize that meaningful learning takes months and years. Daily incremental effort is more powerful than occasional bursts. Accept that results may not appear immediately. Patience allows persistence, reduces frustration, and strengthens the mind's ability to continue disciplined learning. Repeated, patient effort produces mastery that appears over time as tangible results. Accountability reinforces unseen effort. Share learning objectives with mentors, peers, or coaches. Periodic check-ins provide encouragement, perspective, and insight. Accountability validates persistence even when outcomes are not visible and encourages continued action. Social support strengthens commitment and mitigates the risk of giving up due to lack of immediate success. Balance theory and practice. Learning is effective when combined with action. Reading or studying without applying knowledge limits impact. Practice without reflection reduces insight. Integrating study, observation, and application maximizes invisible growth and ensures that results will eventually emerge. Each deliberate cycle compounds learning, creating readiness for visible achievement. Record insights, writing notes, reflections, and observations creates a repository of invisible progress. Reviewing records reinforces retention, highlights improvement, and reveals patterns over time. Documentation provides evidence of growth, even when external results remain absent. Each recorded insight strengthens confidence, reinforces identity, and supports ongoing learning. Cultivate curiosity as a lifelong habit. Continuous questioning, seeking knowledge, and exploring new skills maintain engagement over time. Curiosity drives persistence and reduces the mental fatigue associated with invisible results. When the mind is curious, learning is self-sustaining and rewarding, regardless of immediate visibility. Reinforce identity through repeated effort. Each session of learning, practice, reflection, or application reinforces self-concept as a persistent, capable, and disciplined individual. Identity supports sustained effort by aligning behavior with internalized value. Over time, repeated invisible effort shapes character, competence, and eventual achievement. Embrace incremental improvement.
Small, consistent gains accumulate into mastery. Even if immediate results are not visible, the body, mind and skill set are improved. Recognize that compounding knowledge, skill and discipline is the true source of eventual success. Patience and persistence convert invisible effort into tangible outcomes over time. Use challenges as catalysts. Difficult tasks, mistakes, or confusing material strengthen learning when approached deliberately. Struggle provides information, refines thinking, and builds resilience. Each challenge faced without abandoning commitment to learning enhances the invisible foundation of competence and prepares for future results. Celebrate persistence. Acknowledge the act of learning itself, not only the outcome. Recognizing effort reinforces identity, builds motivation, and strengthens the habit of consistent action. Each committed session adds to the foundation of expertise, even if the impact is not immediately observable. Integrate multiple learning methods. Reading, listening, practicing, reflecting, and teaching others reinforce understanding. Each method engages the brain differently, strengthening retention and skill, even when results are invisible externally. Internal capability grows faster through varied approaches. Multimodal learning accelerates invisible progress and ensures readiness for eventual tangible outcomes. Focus on long-term compounding. Every hour of study, practice, and reflection builds over months and years. Invisible accumulation produces expertise, judgment, and skill that manifests later in visible achievement. Trust in the process, continue learning, and avoid abandoning effort due to lack of immediate results. Commitment to learning transforms life. Over time, invisible effort leads to mastery, skill, financial competence, and opportunity. Each deliberate action compounds, building capability that is undeniable once results appear. Dedication to invisible progress separates those who succeed from those who quit prematurely. Mastery, wealth, and achievement are earned through relentless commitment to learning, even when outcomes are delayed. Start now by dedicating daily time to growth. Practice, reflect, apply and review consistently. Focus on building habits, competence, and understanding. Even when progress is unseen, every action contributes to eventual visible results. Persistent commitment to learning produces skill, wealth, confidence, and mastery that cannot be achieved through luck, shortcuts, or impulsive effort. This is how enduring success is built through invisible effort.